Good afternoon, everyone. Again, I'm Giulia Bordacchini from Genus, and today we will delve into the technology demonstration call of the 5G Hints Consortium. We will have our Master of Ceremony, Frank Zeppenfeld from ESA, followed by Alessio Mattioni from RINA, Carla Matetti and Riccardo Campana from CNIT. We have Abdallah Chehik, I'm sorry in case I'm mispronouncing, from RAME.
That's fine.
And the rest of the team from Genus, Giulia Catella and Biagio Chieco. Before starting, perhaps we can share a bit of information with regards to the consortium itself. So 5G Hints, it's a 5G hub over-the-air technology validation consortium. It is led by RINA, that it's a global corporation that provides engineering and consulting servicing, but also testing, inspection, and certification. Then the CNIT. CNIT, it's the National Inter-University Consortium for Telecommunication, and it's a non-profit consortium of 37 major Italian universities. So they foster technology transfer toward industry and provide coordination and networking support among their members. For RAME, that is the acronym of Radio Analog Microelectronics. They promote, it's an Italian-based company as well, and they promote R&D for technology transfer in private enterprises and for public research entities. With regards to Genus, is a company that is skilled in deep tech and space economy, and we implement innovation program for technology evolution and business transformation. So I would say that we can definitely start with the technology content, and I will leave the word to Frank.
Okay. Thank you very much, Giulia. Yeah, good afternoon all on this Friday afternoon. My name is Frank Zeppenfeld. I'm working in the Satellite Communications Group in ESA, in the European Space Agency, specifically in the site in ESTEC. And we are a group of people that is supporting a number of projects in the area of 5G communications over satellite. Normally mentioned as or named the NTN, the non-terrestrial network part, as part of the 5G standardization. One of the projects that we initiated is the 5G Hints project. And we just wanted to mention a little bit on the background of that, because it's a bit peculiar. It's not like any other ESA projects where we write an invitation to tender with requirements and we would like to see a few things develop. This is quite an open project. It's meant to be almost quick and dirty technology validation of various concepts where we know that they are developed in various projects, could be national, could be more the Horizon 2020, the SNS, or other ESA projects, but to bring some of those developments technically together and demonstrate these things, sometimes over the air, sometimes with channel emulators, but to get a bit closer to, let's say, almost working concepts. And the companies, and they will present that later, have established a bit like a framework in which we could now receive a number of interesting projects that we would like to demonstrate or knit together. That would actually be even better, where various companies support each other. And this project could support and also the integration efforts of that. How you could now propose certain projects that could be in multiple ways. It will be presented soon, the first areas that we're looking for smaller projects. And we would implement this all with contract change notices. So this will be fully funded. You'll hear more about the exact mechanism of it. Internally, that's maybe good to know for some people who are familiar with the ESA mechanisms. Internally, this has been blessed already to a certain financial envelope. And actually, this is the first webinar in which we are reaching out to various industries to step forward with certain projects that are answering to some of the areas that will be presented later on. We'll stay online here to answer also additional questions from the ESA side, but we are happy to give over back to the consortia to explain then more in detail the mechanisms and what we are looking for. Thanks, Julia. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Frank. And yes, as Frank just mentioned, please feel free to post your question also in the chat. We will take our time to have a Q&A session at the end of all the presentation. But now we would proceed with Alessio Mattrioni from RINA.
Thank you very much, Julia, and thank you, Frank, for your presentation, your review and contextualization of the project. Now I'm going to present you the framework of the project to let you understand how it is possible to perform these demonstrations. And the consortium of agents have identified some technical areas. We call it demonstration topics, are in total 11 demonstration topics, in which any interest people, any bidders can prepare a specific proposal. And after an evaluation phase that will be performed by the consortium together with ESA, we will select the most interesting proposals received and admit them to the demonstration phase. This, practically speaking, will be performed with CCNs in 5G's project contract, which will declare the start of a demonstration course. And between RINA and the winner bidders, there will be a contract of a subcontract that will make this activity starts. Okay, Julia has explained the framework of our consortium, so I go on with this and explain you more details about the proposal preparation, and then how will be performed the demonstration course. For to prepare the proposals, you can access to 5G's website. You will find a section in which are present the open course, and inside each open course are present the instruction to prepare the proposal and the templates to be compiled. Just to give you some information, the proposal will be a very smart proposal, so it's not, let's say, a full proposal, as in the case of standard as a ITT, but it's something really more smart, in which in a few pages shall be presented and justified the proposal, the scheduling of the activities, and some managerial and financial information by compiling specific PCSS forms. Of course, we, the consortium of agents, are available to give you any information you may require to compile the templates if they wouldn't be enough clear. And what it's important to understand is that the total budget associated to these activities is 1.5 million euros that will be distributed over all the demonstration courses. We consider that for each demonstration course, we will consider a budget between 5,000 euros and 105,000 euros. This because the objective of the project is to promote as many demonstration calls as possible. Of course, there is a little of flexibility in the sense that if this budget shall be a little bit overcome, could be considered in phase of proposal. Of course, this shall be duly justified, but will be evaluated. The really important things in preparing the proposal is that the funding shall be released through the authorization of the national delegation. So at the time of submitting the proposal, there will be also submitted the letter of support signed by your national delegation. This is really important because we cannot release funds without this authorization. Of course, we are available to support you in preparing the letter of support. If you are unfamiliar with this procedure, or to give you the necessary details of this specific project, because of course your national delegation probably will ask you to provide more information and contextualize your activity in the framework of IGIN's project. The proposal procedure will start after webinars, so you will be able to apply through the website. And the deadline is the 31st of October, but I suggest you to submit your proposal as soon as you can. So in this way, we can speed up the process of evaluation and set up all the procedure that will enable the contract change notice mechanism and the starting of the activities. And so it's really important at the beginning of your proposal writing to get in touch with your national delegation and ask them to provide the authorization as soon as possible with their classical timing. And another important things for if in the framework of your activities, you should need to buy some small item. I can imagine an SDR, simple antenna, stuff like that. You can access to a reserved budget directly from IGIN's. This is the so-called small item procurement budget, and the total budget is 30,000 euros, and to allow each bidder to access to a part of this, we will consider that for each proposal, we can release about 2,000-3,000 euros from this small item procurement. Other important things, IGIN's can put in place a common infrastructure that can be exploited for all demonstration calls that is composed by two SDRs, two At2B200s, and they are controlled by dedicated nukes and can run open air interface 5G code. If you should need this infrastructure or part of this infrastructure to perform your demonstration, please state it in your proposal. And of course, if you have any request for information about this common infrastructure, don't hesitate to get in touch with us. And also, don't hesitate to get in touch with us if you will need any technical support in prepare your and okay, as I was saying, we have selected demonstration topics. They consider the main technologies enablers for 5G over non-terrestrial network. Today we will present a part of them. We apologize if they are not in order, but we have divided it by topics. So the one you see in bold characters are the one that we are presenting today. The other ones will be presented in next webinar that will take place the 6th of July. Okay, I'm completed with my presentation, so I leave the floor back to Giulia.
Thank you very much, Alessio. And yes, perhaps I would take 1 minute to state again that we are delving right now into the technical call, actually with our next speaker from CNIT, Carla and Riccardo. But we would kindly invite you also to register for the webinar of the 6th of July. We will share further information at the end of this webinar. And it will be the occasion to explore the other set of demonstration call, because today we will explore 5 of them, and in the next occasion we will explore the remaining. So without losing any further time, I would leave the word to the telecommunication expert Carla and Riccardo from CNIT.
Good afternoon. So we are Carla and Riccardo from CNIT Research Unit of Bologna. And so today we are going to present 3 topics, which are all of them are related to the direct access. In particular, so in this first call, so we have the name 5G NTN direct access. That is the one of testing and evaluating. So the OAI 5G NTN code for the direct user satellite communication. This can be emulated or can be a test over the air. The objective is to have a transparent payload. So, and we want to validate the OAI 5G NTN code with considering GEO and LEO transparent payload in real scenarios and with the 5G core network. The second objective for this call is the one of modify the code to test multiplexed signals towards different beams. And so in this case, it's necessary to validate the communication between the GNL beam, which is conceptually located at the gateway, and the users in the different beams. What we expect from the bidders is that to have an implementation plan, a prototype in the case so the bidder proposes it, a lab demonstration, and clearly a documentation for the architecture, I mean, to understand the architecture they propose, and the results with and the task to execute all the emulation. I will go to the second call, which will be presented by Riccardo.
Thank you, Carla. So the second call is about function split, so 5G NTN function split. You know that RAM functionalities in general can be disaggregated into distributed unit and central unit, and also remote unit. This allows for an enhanced flexibility that allows to have very different use cases and to enhance the available possibilities. So we have different split options from 1 to 8. And we can identify a trade-off in the selection of the different splits. between the performances that are required on the satellite radio interface to support these splits, and the performances, computational performances that are required on board the satellite to perform the RAM functionalities. So in the architecture that we have in mind, there is the central unit that is on ground and the distributed unit on board. So the main objective is to assess and evaluate the trade-off between the proposed splits. In general, in terms of front-haul, mid-haul latency, so the latency that you have in the interfaces between the different elements, the DU, CU, and RU. The supported bit rate on the interfaces, so on the front-haul or on the F1, for example, interface. The onboard required processing capabilities for the distributed unit that is implemented on satellite. But we have also the overall throughput of the system or other KPIs that can be considered relevant from the building side. For what concerns the output and the deliverables that are needed, for sure there is the need for an implementation plan. Then the output is a prototype, if it is proposed by the builder, or the software to implement the split, a live demonstration, and then a technical note on the findings of this research topic. I leave the next topic back to Carlo.
Thank you, Riccardo. So here the last proposal for the direct access. So if in the first topic we have proposed the direct access over a transparent payload, here we are going to evaluate the regenerative payload. Indeed, so these topics consist in the demonstration of a scenarios with a regenerative payload where there is the general beam on board, and this can be emulated. This full stack must be adapted for the NTN, and in this case, so you can the bidder can take as a reference both the 5G Go and the 5G Leo project, and even if so they were originally designed for a transparency analysis. In the objective for these topics are the following. So it's possible to test both the regenerative payload with a geo satellite and with a LEO satellite. In the first case, so with a geo satellite, it is a modified version of the 5G Go, and the bidder must conduct an end-to-end demonstration, which include also the registration to the core networks and the basic traffic application. This can be done either by using a GNLB full stack or on board a geosatellite or in a testbed with the goal to emulate the satellite connection impairments. In the case of the regenerative payload, so again we have to the bidder must establish an end-to-end communication from the user equipment to the core network, with the goal of ensuring a successful user equipment registration and basic traffic transmission. Then we have a third case, which is called geo-regenerative payload. Here it's possible to test the split between the CU and the DU. The onboard the antenna of the satellite must generate multi-beam coverage, and the idea is that of evaluating the optimal number of distributed units that can be efficiently managed by the CU on ground. In terms of output, so we expect an implementation plan, a real-time end-to-end demonstration with the GNB on board of the satellite based on OAI implementation, and the development and delivering of the hardware and software components, and finally the technical findings of on this test. So I finish. I give you back the floor to Giulia.
Thank you very much, both of you, Carla and Riccardo. So right now we would proceed with the other two demonstration called with Abdallah, I'm sorry, from Rame. And Abdallah, the floor is yours, and please.
Thank you very much, Julia. Hello, everyone. Just a very quick introduction. I'm Abdallah from Rame, and from our side, from this company, we have worked and we have collaborated on many projects related to 5G over-the-air terrestrial and non-terrestrial networks, and with ESA and also some other projects, and we have played a big role in these, for example, in these projects, and for example, in integration on many topics for non-terrestrial networks for 5G and different network deployments for 4G, LTE, and NB-IoT. And without further ado, we can start. If you guys can start sharing your screen so that I can talk about the demonstration topics. Okay. Okay. So just to talk about the topics directly. So the topics that so the other two topics that we will be discussing in this webinar. The first one will be 5G over NTN using low-cost SDRs. So from the title, we can infer that we have to deploy a 5G network, an NTN with low-cost SDRs. Okay. So more in details, the description of the topic is to propose and to implement the physical layer of the 5G new radio on the SDR. The implementation will utilize one of the functional splits and the file layer. And as of this year, 2023, the first quarter, the OII released the 7.2 split, which is which is now available on the software online. Okay, and this allows the platform to act as a G-Node B distributed unit, so it will be a non-monolithic deployment of the radio access network. The SDR platform chosen for this project is a low-cost device. So low-cost means, for example, one of the main topics of low-cost is low-cost local oscillator with a high error. So it has instability and it has poor quality, and for example, these low-cost SDRs must be if a proposal must be shown, they must be able to deploy this network in the proposed form, so 5G NTN. And as a reference, the work in Meteors and in the following two projects, the 5G Meteors and the 5G EmuSat projects can be used. The latter has already implemented the PHY and the portion of the MAC layer based on the open air interface framework with the necessary adaptations for the GEO satellites. So the objectives of this topic is, first of all, to design an algorithm that tracks the satellite. Okay, so tracking the frequency, and then implement this algorithm, and then of course design. And after we have done the tracking and tracking the change of the frequency, for example, we can design an implementation to correct the frequency and to compensate this frequency shift. So all of these are the main objectives. Of course, this is all compliant that they are all contingent on the fact that the low-cost SDR is part of the open air interface. And if another SDR that is not part of the open air interface, this must also be integrated. But if it is part of open air interface, that low-cost SDR means it is supported within the code that's already available online, then these are the main objectives, and the output, of course, the outcome that is expected from this delivery. Well, of course, there's an implementation plan and the prototype, if it is available in the proposal, with a live demonstration at the end, and the technical notes on the findings that were on the final findings that were discovered by the end of the activity. Okay, this is for the first demonstration topics that we will be presenting, and the second demonstration topic is it is like a mix of both satellite, terrestrial, and so it is a mix of both satellite and terrestrial integration over the air demonstration. Okay, so just basically on this topic, it consists of an over-the-air demonstration of either direct access or a backhaul solution to provide 5G services. Okay, for the functional split, refer to the advancement made again in these two projects, the 5G Meteors and the MUSAT project, in which the SDR implementing again the physical layer and the MAC layer has been demonstrated in those projects. Well, what is the expected outcome of this activity? So, the objectives that must be achieved in this activity? Well, first of all, like demonstrating the usage of open air interface over a satellite. The feeder link that will be going towards the satellite will be the DVB-S2 air interface capable of carrying the 5 MHz. This is the feeder link. While from the other side, implementing components of the 5G core network on a small processor initially, the demonstration will utilize processor available in Aztec, with the ultimate goal to prototype on a flying platform, to prototype the core network implementation of processors suitable for deployment on the flying platform, suggesting and justifying the minimal set of functions that should be implemented. And in this case, for example, there are minimal deployments of the 5G core network that can be readily available and that can be deployed easily. This activity, for example, can leverage the usage of, for example, instead of using the radio access network and the monolithic G-Node B implementation provided by Open Interface, we can, for example, leverage the usage of the G-Node B simulator called G-Node B Sim, that is a potential option for a G-Node B simulator and the UE simulator for the release 16 that can simulate both one instance of a G-Node B and another instance of a user equipment. And then, of course, we have to, because it's a demonstration over the air, we have to conduct practical measurements to assess two parameters, mostly, for example, like two main parameters, and the focus of these parameters are the peak to average power ratio and the adjacent channel leakage power. Okay, with these objectives done, the output of the deliverables of this would be the implementation plan, again, the prototype, a live demonstration, and the technical notes. Okay, I hope I was clear on this demonstration. I will give back the floor to Julia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abdallah. I think it was very clear, and I mean, the presentation were very dense of technical details. So that's why we warmly invite you, all the participants, to pose any question you might have with regards to any technical details. Perhaps we can do a very short resume for the few attended the join later on the call. So we delved into the 5 demonstration call over the 10. It's the overall number that you can find of the 5G Hints website. We will shortly share also again the website in the chat so that you can autonomously, explore a bit the demonstration call and perhaps pose any further question also via mail to any of the speakers. I would say before perhaps giving back the word to Alessio, it's the time of the Q&A. So feel free to write in the chat any question you might have, but also given that it can be done in a more, let's say, active and dynamic way, you can also pose question by demuting yourself with regards of any of the 5 technical demonstration call just presented. I can see the very first question. It is possible to participate with the same consortium on 2 different demonstration topics, of course, proposing specialized solution call for each call. From the consortium, I would say whomever would like to take the floor to answer to this question. Thank you, Jada, for posing it.
Okay, I answer to Jada. Thanks for the question. Of course, you can propose different demonstration calls in different topics and with different consortium. So it's foreseen in this case.
Many thanks, Alessio, and all the team. So just a correlated question. Do we have strict constraints in terms of timing for the execution of each project? or this can be negotiated? So, for example, if we propose, two different activities, so two different demonstrations, can we negotiate, for example, the execution for the first 3 months and then after this, the execution of the other demonstrations, or it's much more constrained in terms of timing?
Okay, no, it's not a problem. You can propose also to separate phases for two different demonstration calls. The only thing they should last at least 2 or 3 months.
2 or 3 months. Okay, that would be perfect. And the entire duration of the project, when would it finish?
Okay, we will understand it a little better when we have an overview of all the demonstration proposal received.
Okay, so there is quite flexibility at this stage.
Yes,
I
I
understand.
would say that we can foresee 2 phases of demonstration execution.
Okay,
so
that is
I
perfect.
think
Yeah,
at least 6 months of demonstration.
that is perfect. Many, many thanks.
Thank you, Dada and Alessio, for providing the explanation. I don't know if there's any other specific, perhaps technical question with regards to either the 3 call presented by Carla and Ricardo, or the other call presented by Abdallah as last presentation, or with regards to the consortium creation as well, or any other pertaining question regarding the CCN and the mechanism, let's say, managing the 5G hints project. Well, it seems that the presentation were quite clear. I don't know, Alessio, if you would like to explore any other detail at this stage. I would give a few minutes more, perhaps, to think about any specific question the public might have. Perhaps I can add another information at this stage. If you would like to find a recording of this webinar, that it's currently live streamed on the website, you can find it here. I will share with you right now the 5G hints website, link in the chat. And in case you would like, you can find it also on our YouTube channel. So we have another question from Francesco Zampognaro from Romars. One demonstration project can cover multiple topics.
Okay, this is a particular question. I think the best way can be to propose to separate demonstration calls if you think to cover more than one topics, but if you want to give us also offline any other information regarding this, we can address this thing with more detail.
Francesco, I may jump in. Do you have already in mind which kind of specific combination you would like to propose? Or if there's any other from the attendee that would like to, that is curious about mixing.
Speaker.
Hi, Francesco.
Hello. Hi. Well, there was one idea concerning non-3GPP access and voice over IP. So I think these 2 topics belongs to 2 different calls. So I was wondering if it is possible to I mean, maybe apply for the most the most relevant topic, but then also cover a little bit another question topic. I don't know if it is clear.
Okay, and I think the best thing can be to make two separate proposals in this case, unless there is a particular situation. For example, if you think that for one demonstration calls you should cover most of the budget and really few budget on another demonstration calls, then maybe the more useful thing is to make it only in a demonstration calls. But if you think that they are quietly separables in terms of activities, timing, and also in terms of budget, I suggest to present two separate proposals. Of course, we in this specific case we can try to do the possible to start the demonstrations in parallel, because if they need each other, the inputs from the other, we can try to do this. So formally, they are two separate demonstration codes, but we try to run them in parallel.
Okay. In chat, Francesco wrote, understood, thanks. Thanks, Alessio, also to you. And I see that there's a hands up from Cesare Rossetti from Romars. Please, Cesare, floor is yours.
No, thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation. So I have just a curiosity because if I well understood, this project are very, let's say, agile demonstration. There is no space for further analysis on study. So then my question is that we have to assume that all the theoretical baseline is, let's say, inherited somehow from background or from outer study. Because my question is, for example, related to the topics concerning the DU-CU splitting, for example. In that case, there are several options that may not applicable to satellite in terms of satisfaction of some several requirements. And in that case, but the proposal of the topic seems to be open. In that case, we have to, for example, demonstrate already something that is viable, feasible, or let's say you are open to also some future, let's say, proposals also out of the context of the current 3GPP specifications. Just to give you an example, so for example, the option, the splitting option number 2, number 3, number 4 are not possible over satellites because some time constraints. So maybe you could also propose something that can analyze, can stress out of the specification, 3GPP specification, this aspect or not?
From my side, this could be also interesting because the goal of the project is to prove some technology enablers for 5G NTN. So I think that if they are also out of the 3GPP standards, could be of interest for this activity. Of course, we'll evaluate this proposal also with ESA, so they will give their evaluation about this. I don't know if just right now Frank can give a feedback about the question from Cesare.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. I think we should take it a bit wide. I believe, maybe you might disagree with Jason, but we can discuss that. Let's say in this case, we don't need too much theoretical background. Suppose we want to experiment with different splits, then I believe the majority of the work would be, in this case, let's take open air interface, just an example, to even maybe implement different splits, because let's say open air interface only supports now a limited number of splits. That would already be part of the work. Or it could be more, optimizations in the front haul. So I think we should take that a bit wide, and I think the accent should be on, let's say, quickly finding showstoppers or maybe opportunities, not with 99% performance, with 70, to know a little bit what the directions are to explore later on. In addition, I would love, that might be part of a next web call, of course, if this community that is maybe developing various things has maybe certain ideas or topics where that should be stimulated in terms of interoperability together with engineering support or actual over-the-air tests, we will be very willing to hear those topics and maybe include them in a next call. Thanks, Alessio.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fred.
Thanks to both of you, Frank and Alessio, and to Cesare, also for the exhaustive answer. I was checking whether we have any other live question. Perhaps we can take this time to provide a few further information, Alessio, on our next webinar on the 6th of July regarding the remaining 5 calls to be presented. A bit of spoiler, I would say.
Okay, yes. In next webinar, we will present the remaining demonstration calls. Of course, I think we will also resume a little bit the framework to aid people that are not present today. And then, okay, what I want to say is thank you for follow 5G's project. I hope that we will receive lots of proposals. So I encourage you to ask us all the information you need to put you in the situation to prepare a very good proposal.
Thank you, Alessio. In the meantime, Rafaela from Gatehouse.com asked if they will receive the slide afterwards, and I assume we can definitely post it on the website.
Yes, of course.
So yes, Rafaela, and on the line of what Alessio just said, I really encourage you to ask any further technical or non question through the 5G Hints email that I'm just posting on our common chat, or info@5ghints.com. And I don't know whether Alessio or Carla, Ricardo, or Abdallah would like to add something else. Because we still have time. We still have at least 7 minutes. So I would encourage also the public to pose any other questions. Please, Abdallah.
Yeah, sorry, bad connection problems. I would just like to add from my part, any questions regarding the engineering support or the common infrastructure, you can email our partners at Trina, which will direct you to us directly. So in order to know what is inside the implementation of open air interface, for example, if we are adopting that, and you want to know more information in order to draft your proposal, I think Irina can direct you to us directly so that you can ask and have more questions regarding that. Okay, that's all that I wanted to say.
Thank you, Abdallah.
You're welcome.
I don't know whether the public will have any other question. We can still take the minutes left to address any other, also, I don't know, any question that is coming up to your mind with regards to the 10 demonstration call and the 5 that we just explored. But I think that the presentation were exhaustive.
Sorry for jumping in directly with my voice. About the
Please.
payment plan, do you foresee advance payment and final payment since it's a short experimentation phase? Or do you have recommendations or whatever?
I'm sorry, but I can't hear well. I don't know if you can write in the chat, please.
Well, Francesco, perhaps you can go a bit closer to the microphone because it was a bit hard to understand what you were asking.
Okay. Our idea is to consider two payments, so 2 milestone payments. One at half of the project scheduling, and one at the end of the demonstration calls. So the objective for this milestone payment plan should be assessed in the proposal and evaluated with the consortium.
So the actual question for the attendees that are from phone was, do you foresee advance payment and final payment? And no problem, Francesco, for the microphone
Yes.
problem, very usual, and it was pretty clear from the chat then. So thank you very much. So we still have 4 minutes left in case any other question would arise. And as mentioned also before, you can find in the chat the official email of the 5G Haynes Consortium and the website where to find all the rest of the demonstration call that will be presented on the 6th of July. So same modality, 1 hour webinar, always hosted on WebEx. And we will explore the remaining call, and you will have anyway also there the time to have a Q&A question at the end of the session. But in the meantime, we really encourage you to send specific question also via email, so to be answered also prior to the other webinar. And as Alessio mentioned, the deadline is the 31st of October for all the demonstration, but we really encourage to take action as soon as possible so that also on RINA and technical expert sites over from CNIT and RAME, they can support you with detailing your application and submitting it in also before the expiring date. There's always obviously the support also from ESA, our representative Frank. And well, I think that it was a very fruitful meeting in terms of information sharing, and I really hope that it was clear and exhaustive for all the attendees. I would really love to thank all the speakers of today, starting from Alessio to Carla, Riccardo, and Abdallah, and also my Genus team, so Pier, Giulia, and Biagio, all of them in the background. And yeah, as mentioned, all the information and material is available on the website, so feel free to have a look and explore, and really look forward to our potential other questions. And we look forward to your registration for the 6th of July as well. You will receive all the information in a detailed email as soon as possible. So I would give the word back to Alessio as well for a final greeting, and to Frank. And thank you all from my side.
Thank you, Giulia, and thank you to all the attendees. And let's do a good job. We hope to start many demonstration calls and start profitable collaborations. Okay, thank also Frank for his supervision on the project. I don't know if you want Frank to conclude in some way.
No, thank you very much for the preparation of this webinar. Thank you very much also to the attendees. You have hopefully seen a bit the spirit of this project. This is meant to come to real working prototypes and to shield you a little bit from ESA paperwork. We are more interested in running prototypes than paperwork in this case. So that should be the spirit also of the proposals that are submitted. We know that the consortium that has been explaining this is very much willing to support you with engineering support, even equipment loans, and also with the paperwork and submitting that. And finally, also needing delegation approval for those amounts. And also at our side, contact us directly if you want to discuss a few things. But so far, I think for us, we would like to, yeah, we are looking forward to all the submissions from your side. Thank you very much, Giulia. Yeah.
Thank you, Frank. Well, we reached also the limit time. So if there's no other question, as I can see, I really thank you all, and it was a pleasure to be with you here today. I'll see you all on the 6th of July. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.